Hello, everyone. Welcome to History of Film. I am one of your hosts, NB Geeks. Let's talk. You can just call me NB Geek or Grandpa Geek. Either one works. Or just call me every other name under the sun. Trust me, I've been called them all. And of course, we have my other two fantastic hosts with me. We have Alyssa. Hey, V. Hey!
Hey, everybody.
Have her boyfriend, Jack Spears.
Hello.
So, all right, folks, if you didn't know, last week we spent a lot of time talking about Walt Disney himself. So now we're going to pick up on the company post Walt Disney. And we're going to go from the time from the mouse's humble beginnings to as when I get to my point, there's a mouse in the fox house. Don't ask me why I came up with that pun, but it made sense. So anyway, we've got a timeline to go through, folks. We got about an hour and 15 minutes to get through it, depending on how much we decide to gab. But we'll see. All right. So let's see. Can I get this thing blown up? There we go. And I'm gonna see if I can't make this. All right, there we go.
Thank
That's
you.
good. How's that, Alicia?
Right. So we left off when Mr. Disney died, sadly, in 1966. So our timeline started from all of that. So basically, we had the first animation film, which was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And then we go into Fantasia, which was the first animation / live action one. Then from there, we go into the first documentary that was there. So we go all of it. We're going to, like I said, we're going to skip all of this that we have here. And we're skipping to the last project that Disney. Now, Disney had a lot of hands in many, many projects that he worked on. He basically tried to oversee everything that he did. And he would oversee a lot of these projects where he would walk into the studio, watch these actors recording their dialogue. He would basically oversee things, give input on costumes being made, give input on music that was performed by the performers. He did it all. And the last project that Disney helped oversee was The Happiest Millionaire. So he died when this movie was still being made, but it was a live action filmed. And basically he died when this movie was still in the process of being finished up, basically. So they finished it a year later on November 3rd.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Strangely enough, I've never heard of that. Hey,
yeah, it's a less
Alicia,
popular one.
Is that set default as Zoom? Is that what you're seeing right there right now?
No.
I was just curious what that would do, if that would help the image out anymore. I think it's doing fine. I don't know the software you're using.
Okay. No, I'm not
No,
using
but
this.
if it doesn't work, don't worry about it.
That's fine.
Dude, you're gonna have to send me the link to this timeline graphics. This is freaking awesome looking.
Thank you. So we're going to skip ahead a little bit from the 1967. And basically, there was a couple of Disney movies that were made in the 80s and 70s. After this, there was also some TV shows. Now, there wasn't that many animated ones during this period. But we're going to go from, there's a little thing that's going to happen in 1986 that deals with Skid Row, Seymour, and then that's going to lead us to Under the Sea with our Little Mermaid.
Honestly, still my favorite Disney movie, mainly because it has the best soundtrack, the best music, I think.
Yes, exactly.
I think it still has the best songs.
Yes. But just before that happens, we're going to meet Roger Rabbit. That was made in 1988.
Please.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, this was made in 1988. This is one of the newer live action and animation ones. Now, this one has got a lot of original Looney Tunes, a lot of ones like Betty Boop, Donald Duck, Daffy Duck. This is the only time they're actually together. And basically, they try to make sure that they spread it out properly, where each studio featured their animated characters in equal lengths. But I think Disney a little cheated on this one. I will say that.
How about the fact that we had Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny doing the same scene?
Sure.
Right.
Or the dueling pianos with Donald and Daffy.
It's just Dumbo.
Does
I
anybody
know who he
understand what
is.
this duck is saying? This is the last time I work with someone with a speech impediment.
You know, I
Exact-
thought, when you there's a part in that dueling pianos where I thought for a long time I thought Donald Duck said the N word.
Oh, really?
Yes, when he says I've worked with a lot of wisecrackers, but you are despicable. Donald says, "Doggone stubborn little, I'll get you," right? But the way he says it, it sounds like he says "goddamn stupid N word." When I was a kid, I thought, yeah.
If you remember how Porky Pig, Mickey Mouse, and Donald Duck acted in those times, and actually, if you look at Daffy Duck, remember Daffy Duck during that time, which I believe this movie was set in the 50s, if I'm not mistaken.
40s, late 40s.
The 40s. Well, if you remember correctly, Donald Duck did a lot of quacking, and Daffy Duck
Yes.
was very, very loony at the time.
Yes.
He wasn't that vindictive kind of guy who was always trying to get one over on Elmer Fudd or say Bugs Bunny at the time. That came later. I mean, I think if people really looked at the original characters from that time, and if you look at that, if you see somebody, say you have a millennial now or a Gen Z, and they watch that, they might not understand why the characters are acting like that. People like us, we used to watch that old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you remember, Porky Pig also used to stutter excessively even back then.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out some things of why I think some people might understand those characters, because they did eventually evolve at some point.
Yes, they did. So the
All right,
following
let's get
year,
to my favorite sound.
yes,
Ah.
The Little Mermaid. Now, there's a reason why I was mentioning Little Shop of Horrors, the Skid Row, and Suddenly Seymour. In case you guys didn't know, the two composers from that movie, Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, they were the ones that were responsible for this movie, Disney's Little Mermaid, and also later Beauty and the Beast. And they also did a little bit on Aladdin, the 1992 version. So
Okay,
because
you
of that,
just named 3 out of my top 5 favorite sound scores.
yes, and
Little
this
Mermaid,
is
Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast.
yes,
Yeah, and I would say I kind of put the Lion King maybe 4th or 5th.
mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to nail that girl's fin to the floor.
Oh, I loved him.
I love that movie so much. But
Oh, here's a fun fact. Well, you know what? I'm gonna let you finish. Because I don't want to. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, damn it, you might already know this and say it.
so this is the beginning of the Disney Renaissance era, folks. This is where we get these beautiful Disney second gen classics. And this is the beginning of the movies that are starting to be nominated for Golden Globes and or Oscars at this point. So they haven't been nominated. The last one, if we remember correctly, was Mary Poppins. So this is the second gen where they're being nominated for Oscars at this point.
And we're talking 20 plus years later.
Exactly. And this is the first one, like I said, since then. And here's Little Mermaid. But yeah, this one got nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Now that comedy musical category, that's going to show up for a lot of these others. You're going to see that they're nominated as well, or they will win them. So this one was nominated, basically.
Yep.
And there was also some plans for Little Mermaid even before this one came out, when Walt Disney was still living. But they put it on the back burner, so to speak, and they basically shelved it, and then they came back to it. Here it is over 40 years later, because he had the ideas for it, The original design was a little bit darker, a little bit creepier, you might say, but it was not technically kids friendly because it stuck more to the original fairy tale by Hans Christian Andersen. So this one's a little bit more lighthearted.
You realize this movie is now 38 years old?
I know. It's 28 years old. I know. Like, it's, yeah. Alrighty.
So,
we're gonna skip
fun fact you might not know, you didn't bring it up, so I am. The Chef Louis.
Yes.
He was voiced by, and I always can't say his last name.
Rene Auberjonois.
Yeah, also known as
Odo,
exactly.
Yes, I was going to say that too, but yes, yes, I didn't want to steal this the whole thing, but yes, I knew that. Renee.
I guess you knew where I was going, didn't you?
Well, yes.
Now,
of course.
God, talk about an underrated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, The Rocketeer. Now, there's another one that was made 20 plus years later, but this one stands out. The reason why it stands out to me because when I was doing my research. In my research, in North America, this is released under Walt Disney Pictures. But outside of the North America continent, so if you're not in Mexico or Canada, this is going to show up under Silver Screen Partners 4 and the Gordon Company under Touchstone Pictures. So
now,
depending on where you were.
I believe at that time, Touchstone was owned by Disney.
Yes, they had acquired the rights for starting with the movie Splash, which was released a couple years earlier. These kind of films were not technically kid friendly, but they weren't exactly adultish, but they were like in between categories. And that's
basically it's anytime Disney wanted to release a movie that wasn't really Disney like, they would release it on Touchstone Pictures.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense. They're like, hey, we own this company. Let's put this on their banner.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really fun movie, and I actually love the fact that they stayed kind of true to that old 50s version. You know, that 40s version, or sorry, 30s version, because it was during World War II. So shit, and I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining, and kind of one of the earlier comic book movies that it just wrong time, unfortunately, but it was still good.
Yes.
Here's another beauty.
Yes, 1991, Beauty and the Beast. This one was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. They did win the Golden Globe that year for the Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. So, and also one thing that's kind of cool about this one is Angela Lansbury, who plays Mrs. Potts, was in another Disney movie a couple years earlier, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, which is that is the underrated sequel to Mary Poppins, even though it's not technically the sequel.
No, if there's a scene that always makes me laugh when I watch Bedknobs and Broomsticks, is when you got the British officer going up to the place and the guy's cutting all the signs off, blacking him out. He goes, "What are you doing?" We're changing signs so the Nazis don't know where to go. I'm not a Nazi. I'm a British officer. Well, that's what you'd say if you were a Nazi, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Poison dragon's liver. Does it poison the dragon or just the liver? Now, Aladdin, this is the one I was having a brain fart on. This is another one with music in the top 5.
Correct. This is from 1992.
Oh, Robin Williams, yeah.
Yes. Now, this one was nominated for a Golden Globe, and yeah, this one was nominated, but it didn't win any, sadly. Now, a year later, we get our first Muppet crossover. This is the first time we get the Muppets in 1992, The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Is this after? Now, Disney acquired the Muppets, or did they just acquire this?
It was the Muppets.
It was the Muppets.
They didn't actually buy Jim Henson Company.
Correct.
They just bought the Muppets.
This is just basically where they just started working with them. Collaboration.
Okay.
That's part of my thing.
Yeah. I saw something about that in the acquisition, but I was like, it looks like it's only a small portion, not the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's certain movies that they don't have on Disney Plus that are not on
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Oh, I'll get into that one.
So a year later, after that one is released, then we get introduced to The Circle of Life or Lion King. This one was the winner of the Golden Globe that year for the best motion picture, musical, or comedy. So that one won it.
Na Tiganya. Okay.
Yeah,
Hakuna
whereas
Matata.
Timon and Pumbaa say, "What's on the menu?" Right?
Hakuna
It's
Matata.
on the menu.
What's on the menu? It could
You know
be
what? I just
tequila.
love the fact. Okay. James Earl Jones, his voice is so iconic
Yes.
that even in the remake, they had to bring
They brought
him
him
back.
back.
'Cause
Yes.
They
yes.
brought him back. Now, I'm going to be
Mhm.
honest. I did not. My wife and I could not get through the remake. The CGI just was making us nauseated. But I'm like, yeah, are you really going to give somebody else a James Earl Jones? Oh, Pixar, yes.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. This is the first CG movie.
Correct.
Fully
Yes,
CGI,
The
right?
first
this
one
is
they
really
wanted.
what changed it.
Yes, and this was nominated for a Golden Globe. Toy Story in 1995. So yes, this is where the Pixar collaboration is starting to kick in at this point.
And they were taking a gamble on this.
Yes, because
Mhm.
all they had done was little shorts at that point. They had never done any full motion picture kind of things.
Well, they'd never done a fully computer generated animated. They've done live action with cartoon, but mostly 2D. Oh, God, I remember this movie.
Same.
Yes, 1998. So the thing that stood out to me was, now we had mentioned this last week about RKO Pictures. Now here it is that they are in the scene again. Over 30 plus years later, they're working on a movie called Mighty Joe Young. So yeah, that's why I put this in there, because I thought it was kind of cool to see that. That was like, oh, that's interesting, a familiar name.
I wish I could remember what it was. Wish I could remember the movie, but I think I only saw it once.
Yeah, Charlize Theron is in it, and I believe Bill Paxton is in this one.
Oh, I miss Bill Paxton.
Yes. I miss him.
Did you guys see my that I got Private Hudson?
Nice.
That's cool.
Go watch my last Treasures from the Retro Toy Store.
Cool.
Now, this I'm just gonna point this out real
Mhm.
quick. Real quick, Alicia.
Sure.
This is when things change for Disney, in my opinion, because this is when most sequels they ever did went to direct to video. This is when
Yes.
this is very, very early that they ever did a sequel that went to the theater.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to add into. So this one was made in 1999, and this was nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Like I said, that trend keeps showing up. Now, one thing that you mentioned about the sequels, that's a good thing you mentioned that, Jess. In 1994, the animated sequels that were not released into theaters were launched. So this ran from 1994 until about 2015, but The Return of Jafar was the first one to kick that off. That's not the first live action, that's the first animated one. So that's the first one of those. And then the first of the live action was Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. That one ran from 1997 to 2013.
And that's after Honey, I Blew Up the Baby.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is about
Which
10
I'm going to
plus
be honest,
later.
I'm going to be honest, neither one of those was very good. I just stick with the original.
Yeah.
We recently watched it what, weeks ago. And
Yes, about a week
it
ago.
was
Yes.
cheesy as hell, but I liked it.
It's so
What,
creepy with
Honey, I
these
Shrunk the
giant
Kids?
bugs. Ugh.
No, this one, We Shrunk Ourselves.
Oh, I never saw that.
I had never
It's on
seen it
Disney
before.
Plus. If you ever get to see it, it's freaky as hell. I will say that much.
I think I'll stick with the first one and call it a day.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
It's also a TV show at one point too. So yeah.
Yes, I remember that. You quite understand it, but then sometimes they make TV shows out of movies. You're like, how the hell are you even possibly thinking this is going to work?
Right. Yep. And now we're to 2001, where we're at Monsters Inc. They were nominated for an Oscar for the Best Animated Feature that year. They didn't win it, obviously, but yeah, they were nominated.
Monsters Inc.
Yes.
I like that one.
Now, let's see. Where did I find it? Oh, here it is. Right above that one. So there was a Disney movie nominated, though, the following year. But it was not a princess one. It wasn't your typical one. This was more of an animated, done in a foreign country kind of thing that was nominated for that actually did win an Oscar that year. It won.
This looks manga.
It does. It does. But yeah, that one did win the animated feature that year in 2002, Spirited Away. So yeah, it's one of the lesser obscure ones.
No, I'd heard of it. I just didn't know it was a Disney thing or a Disney affiliate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And now we've got Nemo. Fish are friends, not food. This one did win an Oscar that year for Best Animated Feature and also was a Golden Globe nominee that year in 2003.
Just keep swimming.
You know, I may not like Ellen DeGeneres. I may not like Ellen DeGeneres for a lot of reasons, but I gotta give her credit for her acting chops. But I say the same thing about like Robert De Niro. And people are like, how can you watch this shit? I'm like, I'm watching a character. I'm not watching the actor.
Right. Let's see. Where is my... I know I put it on here. I'm pretty sure I did.
I loved Enchanted.
Yeah. Oh, okay. My next one is Incredibles.
Honey, where's my super suit?
No caps, darling. No caps.
I don't think most people know that was actually a man doing that voice.
Yes, exactly. Everybody thought it was Linda Hunt from other projects, but nope, that is actually yes. Like you said, yes.
Well, you know what? I thought the same thing because it sounded damn near like her.
Yes, it did. I did too.
Robert.
Yes. And where did I oh, here it is. I think nope, that's not it. So there was one movie where they started the Kennedy Marshall Company. They started partnering up in 2003 as well, The Young Black Stallion. And so, yeah, that's when our least favorite person joins the company.
Who's that?
At this point. So, yeah, that was in 2003.
Who's
the Kennedy? Gotcha. That.
Oh, Kathleen Kennedy. Okay.
Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, a lot of people don't like her. Okay.
I love how they're trying to give her credit for movies that she only had a supporting role in and had no main part in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And now we got another Japanese film. This one was nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature in 2005 for Howl's Moving Castle. So that one got nominated that year.
Sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. And then we go into Cars, which is in 2006, the following year.
I remember Cars. That was cute.
Life is a highway.
Yep, and this one was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe. It did win the Golden Globe for the Best Animated Feature that year in 2006.
You're done.
In the following year, Ratatouille was an Oscar winner for that year for the Best Animated Feature and the Golden Globe winner for Best Animated Feature. So, like I said, it got both.
I remember seeing that one.
That was actually something unique. May not be my favorite of Pixar, but I must say a very unique idea. I have to give them credit for that.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is one of the lesser obscure ones that's from 2007. It was basically Buena Vista is one of the side companies of Disney and their partnership.
I remember this one.
This one was the final one that they released with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember. This was cute. This was like a father-daughter thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, remember, and if you folks out there don't know, The Rock obviously was a WWE wrestler, and here's a crazy thing. When he was originally promoted, they would promote him as The Rock. Then later
True.
they promoted him as Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And actually, if you've read interviews and stuff, he wanted to get away from being called The Rock.
Yes.
And
Right.
eventually it went from The Rock to Dwayne The Rock Johnson to he established himself as
Just
an
Dwayne
actor,
Johnson.
Dwayne
then he could
Johnson.
just do Dwayne Johnson. But I mean,
Correct.
give the guy credit. He had to take his licks for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, it took like a good maybe 10 years before, like, it went from The Rock to Dwayne Johnson.
Correct.
Oh, and let's not forget he got into a fight in an arena with 7 of 9 in Void.
Correct. Yes, he did. I think it was called Arena, if I remember correctly. The episode was called that.
And he did that signature thing he does with his eyebrow. I mean,
Yes.
I don't want, but I heard so many people talk about that, and I was like, and I've seen enough of his stuff that I'm like, oh, his smolder. Which I'll be honest
Yes.
is kind of. I'll be honest. When he's done the last 2 Jumanji movies, he really has range as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a great movie. This was almost like kind of an evolution from a animated movie to a live action movie to a combination of bringing animated and live action when she does all the things. Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
Yes. So this is the first film that was distributed by the Walt Disney Motion Pictures. Like I said, there's a lot of little companies, little titles. This is the first one that was released in 2007. So yeah, that's the reason why I included that one in.
It was a great movie.
It was. I love that movie. Like the song.
Well, she goes from being kind of the typical princess in distress to she's in the real world and actually, really grows stronger from that time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great evolution.
Oh yeah, and they're doing a sequel.
The part when she's like, "I'm mad." She's like, when she realizes she's mad, it's the first time she's been mad in her life.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of Disney references, like Jodie Benson's in it. There's the reggae from Little Mermaid. There's a lot of little things like that. And
who played the evil stepmother? What was her name?
Susan Sarandon.
Yes, thank you. Okay, well, what I love about it is you had the Prince Charming.
Yes.
And he, kind of seems like a little bit of a goof. A little bit of goofy, just kind of following. And then he's like,
yes.
Oh, okay, you know what? I'm not meant to marry her. No problem. You kiss her. He's so fine with it, but then he looks at, when he looks at the TV and he's like, Magic Box, tell me where you're at.
Yep. And the person he falls for will be a future Disney princess later on, Elsa. But yeah, that's Idina Menzel. So yes. And then the following year, we get WALL-E.
I missed this one. This one was a really good one.
Yeah. So this one got nominated. This one was an Oscar winner that year in 2008, and it was a Golden Globe winner, so it won both.
That was a very different take on, a post-apocalyptic world.
It was, yeah.
And like I said, it was kind of unique.
Yep. And also that year we got Bolt, and that one was nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe, but it obviously did not win it.
Totally redonkulous.
Agreed. Squirrel!
No, that movie comes later.
I know. I'm teasing. I knew that.
I know what movie you're referencing.
I know.
You're about to click on it.
Yes, exactly. That one was nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture, but instead of it winning Best Picture, it did win the Best Animated Feature, and it did win the Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature. So yeah, it didn't get one, but it got something else instead that year.
Now, something you might not know, that there was a show on, and I can't remember what channel it was on at the time, but it was called Once Upon a Time.
Yes, I
And-
remember that.
And you had Rumpelstiltskin. What they did was they combined certain characters. So you had Rumpelstiltskin also being the Beast, and
Mhm.
of course Belle. And they
Right.
did a montage in the last season. I didn't watch the last season. I stayed with the other one because they talked about a reboot. But they
Yes.
made they made a montage kind of the Dark Lord being Rumpelstiltskin,
Mhm.
staying the way he looks, and his, Belle grows older, and they have kind of the house and the sit down, and it's very reminiscent of the beginning scenes in Up. I thought
Yes.
that was a very nice homage. I don't know if you watched it or not.
I saw clips of it and reminded me of this old mini series called The 10th Kingdom. So it's basically where these fairy tales came to life, and there's basically where there's evil Snow White, and basically she's turned her stepson into a dog, and the misadventure that transpired from there, because the person says, so there's a sheep shearing contest. I remember this, and it was so funny. Instead of saying "We will rock you," and she has to come up with this sheep song, and everybody's saying "Bye bye black sheep, have you got any wool," kind of thing. And she says, "Do you know any sheep songs?" to her dad. He's like, "No, I can't think of it." He said, "Just think of a song and add sheep to the word." And so she does the "We will rock you," but she goes, "We will shear you."
I think I've heard that one.
It's so funny. It is too funny. I love it so much.
You know what? You're getting the Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
Got to talk about this one.
Yeah, this one got nominated for an Oscar and a Golden Globe in 2009. And this is the first African American princess, technically. If you don't want to add in Mulan, Pocahontas, or some of the others.
Technically Mulan and Pocahontas weren't, well, maybe technically, anyway, never mind. I'm not going to try and get in the complications of the princess things.
Exactly.
But you know what was so funny about that movie? Was that it was one of the first times they made the prince actually an arrogant prick. And I thought that was kind of funny that he had to get humbled.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually like that.
That was pretty decent, yeah.
He was a spoiled little bastard.
Mhm.
And he had to get humbled.
Yep. So a year later, we get a Golden Globe nominee, which was Alice in Wonderland, the live action done by Tim Burton and everything like that. So this is a live action one, but it's more CGI-ish than animated or live action. It's a little bit of more CGI kind of thing, even though it's live actors in it.
Wasn't that one of the guy who played the caterpillar? Is that one of Hollywood's final episodes? Alan Rickman.
Yes, that was one of his final projects.
Rest in peace, Hans Gruber.
Yes, he was awesome. Where did
What are you looking for?
right now I'm looking for the one, not that one. It's basically Toy Story 3 from 2010.
Oh. Let me see. I'm trying to see. I see Toy Story 4. Toy Story 2.
I guess I left it out, but that one is actually a Golden Globe and Oscar nominee as well. and it did win the Best Animated Feature that year.
And it was the last necessary Toy Story movie. Everything else after that was
Exactly. Exactly. Pure
Hey,
and
hey, 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 hey! I'm gonna be honest. Toy Story 4 was a nice kind of soft reboot.
Mm,
Now, I will tell you now, the one you're poking on there, Alicia, that was
yes.
so freaking great.
Incredibles 2, yeah. That was okay.
Nah, for my wife and I, that was a great movie. We kind of enjoyed it because there were so many things we could relate to.
Okay. I guess I left that one off, but then soon after Toy Story 3, then we have Tangled the following year, which was a Golden Globe nominee. And then we get another Cars one, Cars 2. That one was a Golden Globe nominee as well the following year.
I did not like Cars 2 and 3.
Yeah, that was a little lame.
Well, Cars 2 was pretty much a Mater tale. It really, really, Larry the Cable Guy was the main character.
Of course.
Now, I'll tell you this, Big Hero 6 was a great movie, but I tell you what, the trailer did nothing to sell it.
True. It didn't add up with it. It really didn't.
Because my wife and I didn't see it in theater, and then when we watched it, we were like, the trailer totally let us down. Because we had no idea what the movie was about.
Yes. Just like this one as well, Brave. The girl's mother turns into a freaking bear, folks, and it doesn't add up. It really doesn't. Even though it got a winner for Oscar for Best Animated Feature, it didn't add up.
I'm going to be honest, this is one I don't like. Because when they turned her mother into a bear, I'm like, so you stole from your own thing from Brother Bear?
Right.
I'm just saying, that's what I thought.
Yeah, exactly. It was lame. It was very lame. And that same year in 2012 was an Oscar nominee and Golden Globe winner nominee, which was Frankie Weenie. So that's another Tim Burton one.
Tim Burton is so hit or miss.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yep. And
this
also that
movie I completely enjoyed just because of the nostalgia.
Yep, this one got nominated for Golden Globes and Oscars as well that year.
Well, you had all those great old school arcade stuff.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Let it go. All that Elsa.
Let it go.
The cold never bothered me anyway. But yeah, this one got nominated for. This one was an Oscar winner that year. This one was the Best Animated Feature that year. So yeah, this one was the top Disney song at the time until it got topped by Encanto recently.
This movie was, at some points I honestly think they weren't 100% sure what they were going to do with it, because I remember reading originally they wanted to turn Elsa into the bad guy, and after they were working on it, they were like, this isn't gonna work.
Right.
Especially if the song Let It Go, because that makes it sound like she's either breaking away, and it's kind of like, okay, she turned into a bad guy. And then, of course, they were like, yeah, this ain't going to work with.
Yeah. Big Hero 6, I mean, yeah, but this one was a nominee and Oscar winner as well in 2014.
Have a lollipop. Uh-oh. We fell out a window. Oh, God. I tried to watch this movie. Okay, Disney,
I've never heard of it.
I'm going to tell you, Disney, I'm going to tell you right now, it is not a good idea for you to try to adapt a Brothers Grimm a Brothers Grimm
into a musical. No, just no, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Do it the Disney way or don't do it at all, because this was just...
It sucks. It sucks, honestly. It's so weird. I mean, one good thing I will say about it is we get to see James Corden and maybe Chris Pine singing, but other than that, no.
This movie, I was like, you Disney, you put this out there. I'm like, you literally are going through. Now I've read a lot of Grimm's fairy tales. I mean, the originals.
Right.
It's just I remember this. Oh God, yeah.
Yes,
This is that era
this
when
was
my
not
daughter-
so great. I will say that much. I mean, I've seen the Tinkerbell ones, but this was the final Disney Toon Studios film. Like I said, there was a lot of things, but this was their final one that they did. So yeah,
This was good. Well, it was 2015. My daughter's 11, and she loved all the Tinkerbell movies.
okay, fair enough.
Well, you got to remember, some of these movies are really made outside our area. They're just
True.
they're not meant for us. This movie, I have mixed feelings about.
Yeah, this one was an Oscar winner that year for Best Animated Feature and Golden Globe winner, and Best, yeah, it won that one. Let's see. Where did I put that one? I guess I got that one on there, but the next one is The Good Dinosaur. That was nominated for a Golden Globe that in 2015 as well. And then there's Zootopia, which it was an Oscar and Golden Globe winner for that year in 2016.
Couldn't stand that movie.
Yeah, it was weird, very weird. Very weird indeed.
I noticed the shift going from oh, I remember that one, that was so great, and to now it's just kind of like, oh yeah, this one.
Yeah,
The more modern it gets, the more we're like, okay.
right.
Now,
This
I will
one
say
was
this about this movie.
Moana. Yes.
Yeah, was that there was a point when he was like, so you're a princess. She's like, no, I'm a chieftain's daughter. He's like, same thing.
Yeah.
You know, kind of his way of pointing it out. This was actually,
Yes.
this was okay. It's not something I normally would watch again.
Right.
Because it had, I'm sorry, there are two things that I don't like in comedy. I don't like fart jokes and I don't like piss jokes.
True.
And
So you
this
would
one
never
had a
watch
piss-
Asses of Fire, the Terrence and Phillip movie.
Okay, pig fucker.
Terrence, did you call me a pig fucker?
No, pig fucker. But anyway, this one was, it's the pee thing kind of just,
Yeah.
honestly, the further we get, the less memorable these movies become.
Yes, exactly. And this one was the winner that year, Coco 2017. Even though it tells you over and over again to remember me, yeah, this one you kind of don't want to remember.
I thought
I
it
liked
was,
that one.
I thought it was okay. I thought it had that. I liked
was
the Day of
decent.
the Dead concept. This movie took too goddamn long to make.
Yeah.
How could they change math? Math is math.
Yep. That one got nominated as well. Didn't win it though. And then we also, the following year, practically, Ralph Breaks the Internet. That one got nominated as well.
Still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Like I said, Wreck-It Ralph, only thing I liked about it was the nostalgia. And I can't stand the female main character. I can't stand Sarah Silverman. Most people I can get away from their politics or their acting, but her voice is so goddamn annoying.
Yep. And then we got Mary Poppins Returns, the sequel that we didn't need for Mary Poppins, but that got nominated for a Golden Globe in 2018.
Trust me, we didn't want it.
No, we didn't want that.
All right, we're at 45 minutes. Guys, we are definitely going over an hour today.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. And then we're on Toy Story 4, the unnecessary sequel, honestly, in so many ways. But yeah, this one got nominated for a Golden Globe. But it did win an Oscar for Best Animated Feature in 2019.
I actually did not have a problem with that one. I took it as kind of a nice coda. That movie I could not finish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to point out that it says live action.
Correct.
True.
It's all
True.
fucking CGI.
Yes.
It is so unrealistic.
There's none of those animals have assholes. It's weird.
They're animals like Ken and Barbie dolls. But yet it was
I-
nominated for a
I-
Golden
I-
Globe.
I tried to watch this movie, but it was, kind of trying to watch. What was that other one?
Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella.
Yes,
which
thank
one?
you. That was the one. Yeah, Beauty and
Okay.
the Beast, where it
Ugh.
was kind of like you're basically doing beat for beat. At least with things like, I will say this: live action Aladdin. At least Will Smith was respectable and tried to do the character his own way and not try to repeat what Robin
Yes.
Williams did, because that would have been impossible. Yeah, this movie I heard about, saw the trailer, and was like, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I just saw the trailer, like, nah. But yeah, this one got nominated for a Golden Globe and an Oscar in 2020.
Ugh. Does anybody even watch the Oscars anymore?
Golden Globe nominee, Hamilton. This one was, yeah. It's good, I will say that, but it's just so long. It is very hyped. That's just
I'm going
my
to say this. Turning a Broadway play into a movie is about as hit or miss as
right.
turning a video game into a movie. I used to say
Right.
comic books, but they've somehow figured that one out.
Mm-hmm. This one I didn't see, but this one was a winner apparently for the Oscar and Golden Globe for Best Animated Feature in 2021.
I don't even think I remember this.
This one was a nominee as well. Raya and the Last Dragon. I haven't seen that one either.
I haven't even heard of this one.
Yeah. Now, I will tell you one. Well, I'll wait till you finish. What the hell is this?
Luca. It's another one that's an Oscar Golden Globe nominee. I haven't. Yeah, it's a Pixar one, but I don't know that much about it, honestly.
Yeah, that makes 3 of us, I assume.
And then the final one is Encanto, which is the Golden Globe winner for Best Animated Picture and Oscar nominee for Best Animated Picture. But yeah, that's the final one.
I saw the trailer for this when I saw Ghostbusters.
My family's seen it. They tend to enjoy it. I tried to watch it, and I'm going to be completely honest. Let's get out of the full screen now. Press escape. Yeah, stupid ass. Sorry guys. Thank you for coming in, Darius. Thank you for coming in. We had that full screen, so I couldn't see the chat, and unfortunately, I don't have 2 screens anymore because one's not working. All right, so, all right, Alicia, you took up 48 minutes with a
Sorry.
plethora, with a
Sorry.
mind-blowing plethora. Don't be sorry. That was a
But-
mind-blowing plethora.
Yeah, see, I wrote down all the deck. Now, here's the thing that's interesting about all these movies that we've covered.
Yeah.
The 1930s, there was 2 movies made that year. 1940s, there was 14 movies made. 1950s, there was 29 made. 1960s, there was 52. 1970s, there was 48. 1980s, there was 28. 1990s, 67. 2000s, from 2000 to 2009, 124. 2010s, 100. And 2020s, there's been 40.
All right, so what do you got there?
Damn. Well, first of all, I have Buzz Lightyear.
Space Ranger.
It's
To
a tiny
infinity
Buzz Lightyear,
and
and unfortunately the box is a little bent.
I know.
And I also got from Toy Story 2, Bullseye.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ride like the wind, bullseye.
Tiny bullseye. And we got.
Oh, I like the Raphael or the Michelangelo.
Oh,
I forgot who was
Michelangelo.
that with him. I'm trying to remember. You said, "Oh, it was Doc Brown." You said, "Great Scott, Scott, I'm Michelangelo."
Yeah. Yeah.
Took me a second,
So
but-
yeah. So like what I kind of focusing on is a little bit of the acquisition stuff, but mostly like the parks. Because there's a lot of stuff that happened in the parks. So we'll start with one fun one. So shortly before Walt Disney died, the Frito-Lay company had a deal with him and opened up a little store called the Casa de Fritos in Disneyland. And so they'd be selling tortillas and other Mexican food and stuff like that. And normally they would throw out the surplus tortillas before they would go bad. But at some point in 1964, instead of throwing them out, they started cutting them up and then frying them and then adding seasoning and selling them. And they became a success. And so what they were is these little fried golden things, right? And the Spanish word for that is Doradito. And Frito-Lay decided to use the contraction of that word, Dorito. And they were released nationwide in 1966, which was the year that Walt died. One of their first acquisitions was Wet Enterprises, which was the company that Walt Disney built to build Disneyland. And of course, that includes like the parks and everything. And it would later on become Disney's Imagineering, which is what it is now. New Orleans Square was opened in 1966 in Disneyland. And New Orleans Square houses two of the most popular rides in Disneyland, which is the Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, which they made movies about both of them since.
Yeah, one with Eddie Murphy, one with Johnny Depp.
Yes, and then they did a Muppets version of the Haunted Mansion. So
yes,
yeah. But on June 17th, 1966, a 19-year-old person named Thomas Guy Cleveland from Northridge, California, was killed while attempting to sneak into the park by climbing onto the monorail track. Ignoring a security officer's shouted warnings, he was struck by the train and dragged 40 feet down the track. The security guard later stated that he had to, quote, hose the kid off the underside. So,
ooh,
yeah, so that was, I don't know if that was the first death, but that was a very early death. Tomorrowland was rebuilt in 1967. It was when it was originally built in 1955. It was talking a lot about the space race and stuff like that. But by 1967, you know, like the space race was well underway, and so like they had to update it, and so that's what they did. And the same year, Roy Disney started to postpone his retirement because he had planned to retire, but Walt died, so he took over for Walt, and then he committed to building Disney World. The original idea was supposed to be Epcot, and it's Epcot stands for Jesus, I hate that. It stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. So what Walt wanted to do was he wanted to build a community, right? And well, there's a lot of rules when you're making a community, and so what ended up happening is Walt dies, and Roy is like, okay, so we're gonna scale this down a little bit. We're just gonna make this a theme park, and so he commits to opening Disney World. And he does in 1971. Disney World opens, and then 2 months after Disney World opens, Roy Disney dies.
wow.
Yeah, and So yeah. So in 1974, July 8th, 1974, in Disneyland, 18-year-old Deborah Gale Stone, a new employee who had just graduated from Santa Ana High School, was crushed to death after slipping between the revolving wall and a stationary platform inside the America Sings attraction.
Right.
She was in the wrong place during the ride's intermission, and it was unclear whether this was the result of inadequate training or a misstep, as the ride had only opened about 2 weeks earlier. The attraction was closed for 2 days while crews installed warning lights and breakaway walls to prevent further incidents. And then in 1976, still in Disneyland, an unidentified woman sued Disney Parks Corporation because she claimed that one of the three little pigs at the It's a Small World attraction grabbed and fondled her. She claimed to have gained 50 pounds as a result of the incident and sued Disney for $150,000 in damages for assault and battery, false imprisonment, and humiliation. The plaintiff dropped charges after Disney's lawyers presented her with a photo of the costume, which had only inoperable stub arms, a common feature among the shorter characters that was eliminated in the later years. In March 7th, 1981, an 18-year-old man was fatally stabbed with a knife during a fight with a 28-year-old man after the victim supposedly pinched the man's girlfriend in Tomorrowland. His family sued the park for $60 million. The jury found the park negligent for not summoning outside medical help and awarded the family $600,000.
It's a lot less than $60 million.
Yeah, true. In 1982, the Epcot Center opens. It's that big orb thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the most boring part of Disney World.
The golf ball looking thing.
Yes, basically.
Well, just admit it, Epcot Center is the most boring part in all of Disneyland. Or
True.
Disney World, sorry. It just
Probably.
is.
I wouldn't know. I've never been there.
Well, I've been to the Magic Kingdom. I've been to the MGM. I've been to the wildlife area. I've been to Epcot. Trust me, Epcot is the most missable place you can find. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I mean,
So-
seriously, who wants to hear It's a Small World again?
I do. But anyways, in June 4th of 1983, back in Disneyland, an 18-year-old man from Albuquerque, New Mexico, drowned in the rivers of America while trying to pilot a rubber emergency boat from Tom Sawyer's Island, which he and a friend had stolen from a restricted area of the island during Disneyland's annual grad night. Both individuals were intoxicated at the time of the incident. The victim's mother sued Disneyland for allowing her inebriated son into the premises and the travel agency that had arranged for the trip for not properly supervising the teenagers. And the lawsuits were unsuccessful.
They should be. It's not their fault that the kids got drunk. She's saying they let them in while they were intoxicated. I got news for you. Disney has beer.
Let's see, yep. In 1984, a 48-year-old woman from Fremont, California, was decapitated when she was thrown from a Matterhorn bobsled car and then struck by the next oncoming bobsled. An investigation found that her seatbelt was not buckled. It's unclear whether the victim deliberately unfastened her seatbelt or if the seatbelt had malfunctioned.
Really? They couldn't figure it out either way, huh?
No, they couldn't figure it out.
Damn.
Better news, in 1986, Star Tours and the Captain EO show began. Now, Star Tours is, it's like this, it's just one of these ride simulation things, right? But it just feels so realistic when you're inside of it, that it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun ride. And one of the things I love about it, like back in the day when I was when I went to this thing, the person who played the voice of the little droid that flies you around.
Yeah, your Star Tours droid.
It's Pee Wee Herman, Paul Rubens.
Yep.
I thought
Now
that
let
was
me
pretty
tell you
cool.
something. Let me tell you something about that one, Jack. When we went to Disney World, my we got on Star Tours one time because we went several times because we lived in Tampa, so we weren't too far from Orlando. We
Right.
got on Star Tours when he was old enough. He wasn't old enough because that Rocky shit, he was crying afterwards.
Oh, you didn't like that?
He
I loved
was
it.
not happy about the jerking and everything like that.
Oh well. Did you ever see the Captain EO show?
No, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, well, it's a it's a Michael Jackson thing, but it was, oh my god, hold on, I gotta Google it again. But
It's like a 3-day show, kind of, folks.
yes, it's
Okay, I've
3D
heard
show.
about it, but no, I've never seen it.
It was like a
Okay.
concert.
It's
music
it was directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Michael Jackson.
Okay, just take my money now.
And it's a 3D thing, but it's not just a 3D experience. Like they have like when there's like a pew pew or whatever, they got lasers that shoot out. They got smoke that comes out, like, during a crash, stuff like that. So like it's more of an experience. But it's pretty good, pretty fun ride. Mickey's Toontown was opened in 1993. And the same year Mickey's Toontown opened, Disney purchased Miramax Films. Now, just a little side note: Miramax Films, the following year, uh, bought Clerks from Kevin Smith,
Yep.
beginning his career. But this explains why he's kind of shilly, especially with Disney stuff, is because the parent company of Miramax was owned by Disney. And now remember, they still let the Weinstein brothers run Miramax pretty independently, because Disney, Disney would never have bought Clerks. Never have bought Clerks. Anyways, moving on from that. September 3rd, 1994.
This is a little bit before the Iger era.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what I'm focusing on is really the Bob Iger. Actually, no. What you're doing is you are actually talking about areas. This is when Bob Iger really started getting his hands in this stuff.
Yeah, and from what I don't have it in my notes anymore, but from what I read up, I mean, he was part of the corporate takeover that removed the Disneys from the board, like the Disney's daughter and Roy O. Disney, I think it was the son of Roy E. Disney. But anyways, so moving on, in September 3rd, 1994, a 75-year-old man jumped to his death from the 9th floor balcony of the Disneyland Hotel. This was the first suicide known to be committed at Disneyland.
Ooh.
In 1996, Disney acquires ABC. Tomorrowland was renovated again in 1998 because by then, like the problem with Tomorrowland is like eventually like the future catches up and then it looks like outdated. So they gotta renovate it every like 20 years or something like that. So I talked about Mickey's Toontown opening like in 1993, and Mickey's Toontown has this ride called Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. And
nice.
So yeah, and it's fun. I've ridden it. I love it. But in September of 2000, a 4-year-old boy fell out of the ride vehicle and was dragged underneath the car, causing serious internal injuries, cardiac arrest, and brain damage. On October 7, 2000, Disneyland changed its emergency protocol and began instructing ride operators to call 911 first instead of the Disney Security Center in order to speed emergency staff to any incident in the park property. It took them until 2000 to figure that out.
Wow.
Well, maybe. Look, I don't know how far the nearest hospital is from Disney World. Maybe they thought having people. Oh, this is Disneyland. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I've been to Disneyland, and you ever tried to get through that kind of traffic?
Yeah. But yeah.
Even if you're an emergency responder, it's a fucking nightmare sometimes because it's hard for people to get out of the way because they're. But anyway,
Yeah.
I get maybe where they were coming from. Maybe they didn't have their people as trained as well as they should have. Because my wife actually went to Disney World when we were stationed in Tampa for like a 1 week event on how they run things. And she came back with a lot of really good insight on why they do things the way they do.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
that's
Well,
a story for another time. That's a story for another time, and I'd have to have her in here to actually explain it. That'd be a great thing for her to bring up. Anyway,
okay.
continue. We're at my wife
Yeah.
wants to get going in about 15 minutes to do something. So
Okay. Yeah. So with the same kid in December 2000, um, there was a report that concluded that a laptop bar had malfunctioned and the victim was placed in the wrong seat in the ride vehicle, too close to the opening. 3 months after the incident, uh, the permanent ride amusement branch of the California Divisions of Occupational Safety instructed Disney to install an additional safety features on the ride. In January 2002, Disney settled with the victim's family based on the cost of the victim's continuing medical care and suffering. Disney was not required to accept blame. The victim never fully recovered from his injuries and died in January 26, 2009, age 13.
Mm.
So yeah, that was pretty sad. In 2001, Fox Family Worldwide and Saban Entertainment are acquired by Disney. Now, Saban Entertainment, if I remember correctly, is what released the Power Rangers and stuff like that.
It is.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think now they're doing the Kevin Smith movies now.
Yes.
Yeah. In 2004, they got the rights to the Muppets. Uh, 2010, Disney sells Miramax, and in 2019, Galaxy's Edge opens in Disneyland. That's it.
All right. Well, now we get into the whole Bob Iger era of, and you touched on a little bit of it, but originally, when you look at it, Disney didn't buy a whole lot of other companies. They were building on their own stuff and trying to do that product.
Right.
Well, when you get around to Bob Iger, this kind of changed. So there was, as you said, several acquisitions that had happened, and that they'd been happening for a while. But here's where we're getting to some of the really big. I'm talking some of this stuff was like 60 million, maybe a couple of 100 million, but let's be honest, that's the money that Disney wipes their ass with when they take a shit. I'm talking about the big money that they spent. Well, let's start with Pixar. When Pixar was a separate company, and for those of you who don't know, Pixar was originally part of Industrial Light and Magic. Originally. Now, Pixar was in a contract with Disney to produce the movies. So, Walt Disney Company had basically a decade of success with Pixar. And they decided, I remember this, there was a negotiation question on cost and renewing the contract. And this kind of devolved, and Disney just decided to buy them out. And here's how it goes. Walt Disney Company, long history of success with animated films, enters new era with acquisition of Pixar's. This was an all stock deal. Is basically we're paying you with stock. And guess who was the biggest shareholder of Pixar at the time to get that stock? And I'll give
Eisner?
you huh?
Eisner.
No. Steve Jobs.
That's right. It was Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs was the CEO of Pixar at the time.
That's right. He was.
Disney collaborated without and he was actually very happy with this. He said, let's see, Disney and Pixar can now collaborate without the barriers that come from two different companies with two different sets of shareholders. Jobs said in a statement at the time, now everyone could focus on the most important, creating innovative stories, characters, and films that delight millions of people worldwide. So Steve Jobs was obviously he got, paid really good for that, but understood, hey, this is a good thing. And I mean, really, he got paid in stock. So the only way he was going to get any money out of it is when he sold his stock.
True.
Since at the time of this article, when it was written, Disney had purchased Pixar in 2006 at $7.4 billion. At the time of this, the studio earned a total of 20 Academy Awards in its history. Several Pixar's films, including Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Finding Dory, all grossed over $1 billion. I mean, Disney was really printing money with its acquisition of Pixar. Then we get into one of our personal favorites, Marvel. Now, for those of you who don't know, one of Marvel's golden ages in my lifetime was the 1990s. Unfortunately, they overplayed their hand. They overprinted, overdid, blah, blah, blah. They were bleeding money. So they sold the rights to characters to various different companies. And what I mean by characters is that I don't mean just the character itself. So when I say Sony owns Spider-Man, Sony doesn't just own Spider-Man. He owns Spider-Man's, the word I'm looking for escapes me, but basically the main things that,
franchise.
Yeah, the franchise, the characters that were predominantly based around him. Fox got X-Men, Fantastic Four, which included Deadpool, and all kinds of stuff. So they did all that, and then Disney bought Marvel Entertainment, and it was a move that really changed comic book movie history. If you really look at what's that?
This was after Iron Man 1 came out as well, right?
No. This is right before Iron Man 1. This is when they bought it.
Before. Okay.
I'm talking pre MCU. If you remember, most movies, a shared universe, for the most part, hadn't happened since. I mean, a real, truly shared universe over multiple platforms had not really happened since, I think, the Universal Studios monster movies. You had the occasional
universe.
You had the occasional cameo here and there from characters from another franchise, but it really didn't change it. Like, for example, you had a Norm and the mailman guy show up on from Cheers, show up on Wings one time, and they were playing their characters. So it was in the same universe, but it was kind of just, it was a one-off. It didn't matter. No, you didn't have to watch Cheers to enjoy the episode. So they started taking a gamble on this shared universe idea. Because prior to that, we had Superman, we had Batman, we had Blade, we had Ghost Rider, and let's be honest, comic book movies really never sold, with the exceptions of Batman and Superman. That was pretty much the only two that sold.
Yeah.
And what really was a thing was when they bought Marvel for $4 billion, they got access to all of these characters. The thing was, all their kind of A-list characters were still in other companies. So they had to decide, okay, how do we do this? So they took, literally, when you think about it, Marvel has a lot of B-list characters. They don't have a lot of A-list characters. they've had A-list characters come and go, but not really, steady A-list characters with few exceptions. One of them being obviously Spider-Man, which is owned by Sony. So, they were talking about with help of studios, Marvel had been producing content outside of comic book movies, but they weren't all successful. Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Man Thing. I mean, you name it. They weren't really successful. Blade was somewhat successful, but Blade was also R-rated.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there was that, and there was other things that just did not work out. So Disney bought Marvel for $4.24 billion. And since then, after that came the division of Marvel Television, Marvel Studios, a lot of films, TV shows, and it ends up being this point. They bought them for $4 billion. They made 27 movies, spent almost $6 billion total on all of them. And out of those 27 movies, including Spider-Man No Way Home currently, they've done over $25.5 billion.
That's a healthy return on your investment, I would say.
I would say.
I can't even fathom having $1 billion.
Yeah. Now we get to the next one they bought, Lucasfilm, in 2012. So, Disney paid $4 billion in 2012 to acquire Lucasfilms. At the time, Lucas Creator was driving force behind the movies, blah, blah, blah. Iger taking aggressive steps to broaden its appeal to consumers and acquire well-known franchises. See, this is what I think the idea of a streaming service was going on even back then. That's the whole point why you acquire Fox, why you acquire these franchises, because then it gives you more content to play with. And we're going to get to Hulu, but Hulu is almost dead last. And there's a reason for that, even though they got Hulu before they got Fox. But there's a point to that. The sale was set up in 2011 when Lucas and Iger met opening Star Tours. The adventure continues. Walt Disney World Resort, Florida. The resulting deal, which closed in 2012, guaranteed $4 billion in cash and stocks and establishing him as one of Disney's largest shareholders. So he did get kind of a majority stake as probably an individual. So he could be worth more than that now, or slightly less, because it doesn't state how much of that was cash, how much of that was stock. Because remember, and there's probably a reason why they did this, because cash gets taxed. Stock doesn't get cashed until you sell it. But you got to think about what was also given up. It wasn't just Star Wars. It was Industrial Light and Magic. It was Star Tours. It was the Indiana Jones franchise, THX. Basically anything he had. The Droid series, the Ewok series, the movies they did, the animated series they were working on prior to the acquisition and everything, the game system, and a bunch of other areas. So, it's like funny when I hear these idiots be like, boycott Coca-Cola. Did you buy a bottle of water? Yeah. Was it Dannon? Yeah. So you bought a Coke product, asshole. Now, I don't know if Dannon is actually the Coke brand, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Dasani,
yes.
So, overall, Lucas, there was tense issues with The Force Awakens. There wasn't much brought up after the success of The Force Awakens, but, with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau having the success on the Disney side, they're doing, I think, reasonably good things on the Disney Star Wars side. And now we get to the big one, the big enchilada. Fox, the mouse in the Fox house. So check this out. Originally, Disney was trying to acquire Fox, and an agreement had been made for about $51 billion. It got into a snag when Comcast, and there's a reason, I'll get to the reason why. Comcast wanted to outbid them to bring them over there, and they offered like 60 something billion. Disney came back later and said 71 billion. Here you go. So, Fox, 21st Century Fox was sold $71.3 billion.
That's a lot of money. Like, I just can't fathom.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But here's some of the things they get with it. They don't just get things like MASH, all those old contents that many of us enjoy. They don't just get the animated shows. They got the rights back.
Right.
To the X-Men franchise, the Fantastic Four franchise. So, Kang the Conqueror, Doctor Doom, the Silver Surfer, you name it, somebody who's in those areas they sold the rights to, they got them all back.
Mm-hmm.
The only profitable one they haven't got back is Spider-Man, but they've been smart about that and worked very well with
True.
With Sony, and now Sony has got something going for them with Spider-Man No Way Home. Now it's like, wait a minute, we can bring Tobey Maguire, maybe Andrew Garfield back in some ways, and we're going to make some fucking money off the shit because based on this, people want to see these guys again. Mm-hmm. So they that collaboration, Sony would be stupid to sell, and I don't think Disney has enough money to buy it. I mean, they do, but I think Sony would be stupid to give up the rights.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
No, the agreement is working out great. Both Venom movies I thought were decent. The three, Spider-Man. Actually, I overall enjoyed all of Spider-Man movies. I didn't like the ending of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and not necessarily Spider-Man 3. But hey, Spider-Man No Way Home totally took care of that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It did.
So,
in fact, Andrew Garfield really shined in that one.
Maybe we should do that next. History of Film, Spider-Man.
Well, we still got to do other stuff. We still have like a list of.
Yeah, I know.
We got a list.
Sorry, I don't mean next week. I mean, maybe we should put that one on the list.
Okay.
So, here's the thing. Why was Robert Murdoch wanting to sell off his company? Or at least the majority of his company? Well, it's been said about that the competition, let's see, what was it? Disney announced. Falcon Flick responded at the time the acquisition offer was a chance for Disney to consolidate holdings, bringing together leads of television movies, major productions. Because remember, they're getting a lot more acquisition than you might think. Fox, the reason why the Murdochs sold it was kind of motivated. Falcon Flick said, kind of a fear, opportunity, and pragmatism. Fear, scheming, bottomless wallets of Netflix, Amazon, and possibly Apple on new shows. So, the enhanced competition on different platforms. An opportunity to cash out when you're at your peak. I mean, practicality, and then the pragmatism was resolving, setting up how much, his inheritance to his children from the purchase. He's got 2 that work for the company. It worked for the company, and then 4 other younger children who don't have anything to do with the company, but wants to give his kids a little something. Maybe also his grandkids. And so that was pretty much it. It makes sense when you're and this is getting to my last one, because there's a little something in here about, there's a little extra that buying Fox got Disney over Comcast. So in 2009, Disney purchased 30% of the stock in Hulu. Now, who else owns stock in Hulu? Well,
Fox.
30% was Fox, 33% was Comcast. So Comcast is the majority share owner. I'm assuming the other 7% are private people like you, me, buying stock in it. But, those are the 3 shareholders. So one of the things they got out of that merger and the deal was the 30% stock in Hulu. So who just became the majority?
Disney.
The mouse.
The mouse has 60%. Comcast is 33%. Now, I don't know if this. I don't think.
And Hulu is going to be playing the Orville soon.
Oh, hey, looks like my
Mouse.
last. Shit. Looks like my last page didn't print out. That's okay. I still remember it. So, in 2014, Comcast, after I said they tried to outbid Disney and I have a feeling the stock shares probably have some factor in that. They have a deal in place right now between Disney and Comcast. In 2014, Disney has the option to basically tell them to sell the stock to them, or Comcast can say, hey, you have to buy us out. Now, I don't know how that works per se, but I got a feeling there's going to be a little bit of a bidding price there. Because they're going to want a little more than what the stock is worth. But the question is, and here's the thing, I think it's going to happen because based on the article I read, like I said, the paper's not here, but Bob Iger wants to double down on this. I think he wants to acquisition Hulu. And there are sources that were saying in the article that they're looking at upping original content on Hulu. Disney is going to up it for Hulu to up from, I think it was 3.5 right now. They're doubling to like 7 billion for the next year for original content, which the article also said is slightly less than what they're doing on Disney Plus right now. So one of the reasons is, of course, like Netflix, Hulu, if it's not original content, you don't own it. Contract comes up, that stuff goes away. Netflix is really the dominant on the original content right now. Disney's going to have to work to catch up to that. So that's probably why, and they're doing it. I mean, they're doing it with the Star Wars stuff, but they gotta expand out into other areas. Now, if say in 2014 the buy goes through, the question is going to be, are they going to defunk Hulu and bring everything over to Disney Plus, or do like they do now, where you have, hey, here's ESPN, here's or like, here's classic Disney, here's Star Wars, here's Marvel, here's Pixar. Over here's Hulu. We don't know. But here's the funny thing. Do you know what, to actually get the purchase of Fox done, I missed this one thing. Do you know what they had to do because of the ESPN thing? They had to agree, because, the U.S. has to do the antitrust thing to approve this. They had to sell off 22 regional sports networks. Which I'm probably thinking Disney was like, whatever. We get this, we sell this off, we make some money back, whatever. But it was, yeah, I mean, Disney, when it came to coming up with a streaming platform, they've been planning the long game. Whereas Netflix has a lot of licensing, but they get a lot of original content, or they partner with other companies to make original content that they can keep. Hulu is less on the original content, but you still have like Stars, HBO, Cinemax. They still make original content. Amazon makes original content. Disney is making original content, but probably just not as much as they want to get more subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
So I will not be surprised. I mean, I doubt very much they won't get they won't be 90 whatever some percent, 93% of the majority by 2025. And then we'll see what happens. All right, folks. We went way over our time by 30 minutes, but what the fuck? We had a lot to say, and we have fun doing this. I'm going to get out of here, go get some beer. Alicia and Jack are going to do whatever they do in California and Maryland. All right, folks. Peace and long life. And, what's our topic next week, guys? What we got next?
What was the?
I forgot what the next one. We really got to get back on one of these days where we sit down and start planning these out.
I wrote a lot of them down, so we'll figure one out.
Yeah, we'll figure one out eventually. You trust me. Me writing shit down and putting it on a piece of paper and setting it down is the worst thing on the planet, because guess what? I never find it again. Because I never remember where I put the damn thing down. You don't know how many times I've lost one of these because I've been like, oh, I should just put it over here. No, I keep it in my stupid hand after I hit it, and next thing I know, I'm waking up in the middle of the night, going to the bathroom, and I'm looking through the sheets, and I'm like, fuck did the damn thing go? All right, everyone. You have a blessed evening, morning, whatever. And please do not adjust your dial. But we will give you back control of your TV now. Your streaming service. Thank you.